Our summer intern is extremely lazy and spends far too much time browsing the internet and Reddit and generally not working. He thinks we don't notice, but we do. How should we confront him? Here's what my bosses say, and I think it works well. We're not babysitters. We don't want to be babysitters. We don't really care what you do or how you spend your day as long as you get your crap done and do it well. Don't force us to micromanage. And here I am, on Reddit. LOL. But I get my work done. So for the summer, we've had an intern. That may be why he is slacking off. Not getting paid an adequate wage is a shot to the morale. I understand why he makes around $18 an hour if I recall correctly. That lazy C. At my last internship, my bosses got mad at me for browsing the internet. I finished all tasks within a few hours and they never had any more to give me. So I was just supposed to sit still and be office decoration for the entire 2 months. This just brought back horrible memories. Ebex saved my life. Not as obvious as Facebook or Reddit. From a couple feet back, I could be reading instruction manuals or certification documents or anything. I'd bring him into a private office and educate him on how the adult world works. I don't care if you browse the internet, but if your work is suffering as a result, we'll find someone who can manage their professional time and activities better. I think something along those lines is needed. Okay, I am going to give you the perspective of the intern. Why? Because once upon a time, I was that little crap of an intern who did nothing. Seriously. First of all, the worst thing you can do in this situation is nothing. That is what my boss decided to do, and well, neither one of us ended up very happy at the end of the internship. So, first piece of advice, doing something is much better than doing nothing. Second, did you guys do an approachability statement at the beginning of the work term? If so, I highly suggest pulling that out and getting down to his level. This will make things 100x smoother. If not, you know the guy. He's been working there for a month already, so make sure you go in with a plan. This is advice number 2. Thirdly, look at his work history. You said for the first month it was great and then it just dropped off, right? Same thing happened with me actually. This was because, for me, the novelty of working had worn off and I realized how crappy the work I was doing was. The simple, easy tasks were much easier to do because they required absolutely no brain power. The tasks that require people to think seem much more daunting, even if the person is qualified. Taking all of this into account, how I would have appreciated the situation being handled when I was in his position would have been having you, the boss, come and talk to me directly. It seems you have done this before from your post, but you need to go in assuming absolutely nothing. This generally gives the best results. Maybe his sister got diagnosed with cancer. Maybe he is having the reality check of his life, like I did, about how the work he is doing is not fun. Approach him, talk to him, tell him you are concerned about him and you don't want such a bright mind to go to waste. If after all of this, the productivity doesn't come back, either limit him to menial tasks and refuse to write him recommendation letters or whatever else, or just fire him. I hope that helps somewhat. I didn't realize that approachability statements weren't that common. It is basically outlines how someone wants to be approached. So, the setup is something like below, and then people fill it out and share it. By now, I've probably done 15-20 of these because they are pretty common where I am at. When I am happy, I. When I am angry, I. If you have something important to tell me, please. I accept criticism best when my pet peeves are. For me, the boss just underestimated me completely. It's one thing to ease an employee into a new job, but at some point there has to be mentorship coupled with actually challenging assignments. It all seemed very common sense to me, but alas maybe not from Bossman's perspective. Get him involved in some important projects and allow him to be part of the team. You get a lazy employee when they don't feel important or that their work isn't contributing the greater goal of the company. I'm telling you this from experience. The reason you have a lazy intern has less to do with him and more to do with you. Chances are, he feels like you have underestimated him and he's bored with doing busy work. You described my situation perfectly right now, 100% accurate with this statement. Being more involved with the greater goals and projects of the company would make me feel much more motivated, rather than doing useless tasks requiring the same amount of effort. I suggest you do it the way it was done for me. I'm suspecting this is his first job, maybe. In my case, during my first job, I became highly disillusioned with working about 1 month in. The first month was novel enough to be exciting. 2. A grown-up job. I'm an adult, etc. That went away. I didn't know how to cope. Other than school, I'd never had to drag myself through anything before. So I started taking a lot longer to do things. Taking a lot of coffee breaks. Spending time on email. The one thing I was told explicitly that I should feel free to do, though obviously they meant within reason. I abused it. So one day, my supervisor took me into the conference room to show me she meant business and kindly informed me that I was not performing to their expectations. She gave me the opportunity to explain why, and I was honest. That I was having trouble coping with the idea of working on a day-to-day basis. That I was doubting my ability to handle a routine, etc. etc. We had a very productive talk wherein she told me what was expected of me. A discussion we had when I was hired, but now, in the context of having worked for a month and a half, clicked a lot more. She talked me through some personal things, established that she respected my abilities and my intelligence and that she just wanted to see me live up to potential, even at a crappy summer job. So I worked harder. I learned to cope with routine. I ended up doing really well. We had another follow-up chat for her to tell me how well I was doing and how much I was valued. And when the job ended for the summer, I had a killer recommendation. A lot of times, just sitting down with them and telling them you know what it's like, and everyone does, can do wonders for morale and work ethic. Also, he may just have forgotten what is expected of him. Sure, no one thinks their YouTube watching will be sanctioned on the job, but it becomes easier and easier to justify your time wasting. And soon you're wasting more and more and more until suddenly, you're failing at work. It creeps up on you. If you're new to working, sometimes you need a reminder, a kind one. Of course, if he's just a bad employee, well, he's only there for the rest of the summer, right? Your intern makes $18 an hour? Where the heck do you work and how do I get an internship there? That's more money per hour than I could imagine even with a full-time job. And I have 2 college degrees. Go into engineering, hate your life for 4 years, emerge socially awkward and rich. Give him more work. I'm doing the same thing because I have nothing else to do. Then again, this is my last week at this company and I'm not exactly expecting anything to be given. Just running out the clock. Go up to him and tell him you know how much time he's spending browsing the internet, and that he should spend more time working. Easy? No? The only reason I don't want to do it so brashly is because I don't want him to feel like we're breathing down his neck and monitoring his internet usage. I only had the report gathered because I felt I had to. Suppose I should just say that. Hell, thanks for the advice. He's obviously bored with the work you're giving him. Try giving him something more engaging to do, or challenge him. Let him be responsible for something other than the same old boring busy work. Talk to him. Ask if he had his choice what would he be working on, and if it's realistic maybe let him. I know boredom is why I browse the internet all day. That and I really hate my job. And yet despite my browsing the web all day I still get told how awesome I am and get raises. Basically just coasting until something better comes along. I'm a really terrible employee, I just realized. Do what the director at my office did when I was interning my last year of undergrad. Grow a douchy old man ponytail and get real fat. 1. Fire the intern's immediate supervisor and don't refill the position, leaving him untasked for several months. 2. Wait until he has 3 days left. 3. Fire him in front of everyone. 4. Ask him to come into your office so you can yell at him after the fact. 5. Spend years receiving endless phone calls and mail for offers ranging from Viagra to diabetes medication to stop smoking gimmicks. Hide under his desk and when he on Reddit jump out from under it and surprise him. I don't mean crawl out, I mean break through the desk screaming. While he is in a state of shock, beat him across the face with a 2x4 you bought previously from a local hardware store. While he is out cold brand we know on his backside, and if he asks you about this pretend it never happened. I hate when that happens. Find out what sites he visits. Change the host's file on his work PC to redirect Reddit, etc. to an internal web page that simply says get back to fricking work Trevor. For bonus points, add a counter that increments every time he accesses the site. Make a maximum 9 more times and you're fired. Replace Trevor with his real name. What types of tasks are given to him? When I interned, I got bored as heck after flying through some of the assignments I was given in IT. They kept telling me to ask for more work, which I did all the time, but as an intern there was only so far the company would let me go with doing work, as I wasn't allowed to touch certain systems. A lot of it was waiting on other people because, well, the work you give an intern is normally not that pressing. I ended up browsing the internet a lot. If you are giving him a lot of progress bar waiting type of tasks, of course he'll browse away. Are you leaving him alone for the majority of the time? He's an intern. Keep checking on him once or twice a day. As a full-time employee at my current job, I've gone 2 weeks without even making contact with my boss, but I am independent with my work now. I don't need to wait on being given something. Have him shadow someone. Be more interactive. Intern here. I know this isn't me because I'm in the IT department, so my boss would just get the report himself. But that title made my heart skip a beat and time stand still. I guess I should get back to work. I think you should passive-aggressively post something about it, expressing your concerns on a website, which you know he frequents. You mentioned Reddit. That's perfect. As a summer intern, I can tell you why I spend an hour a day on Reddit. I was given the task one afternoon to add 2 numbers and write the sum. This is what I did for 3 hours. No one told me why it needed to be done and what point it served. Just do it and be happy. This was my worst day at work. The work is extremely tedious and I need 5 to 10 minutes every hour so I don't blow my brains out. Secondly, there is not enough work to keep me busy for an entire 8 hours. I run out of work around 2 every day and have to beg people for work when I first arrived. So to compensate, I slowed my pace at work and began browsing the internet more. Thirdly, my co-workers have told me on multiple times to simply look busy if there is an hour or so of work left. When you work by the hour, I have no motivation to go fast at all. I would much prefer to power through what is assigned to me and leave at 2 each day, then stay till 5 while working really slow. Just some thoughts. Good luck. I'd like to point something out here that I think is important. Judging a person's work ethic based on their browsing history doesn't tell you a whole lot about how good or much that person is working. It only tells you the websites you've been to. My job is in the IT field and clients are constantly asking me to report on people's browsing history habits to see if they are slacking off. I always respond with the same thing. Monitor their work output and not their browser history. If they aren't getting anything done, then fire them. Don't fire them based on their browsing history. If someone is spending too much time surfing the net, then their productivity will drop. It's much easier to monitor work productivity, and it's much easier to discipline someone based on their work output than it is based on their browsing history. I mean, you're on Reddit. What would your boss think if he saw your history? He's an intern. Take away his cell phone and make him sit in a chair with a shame hat on. Then demote him to gopher. You shouldn't be a boss if you are unable to talk to an employee and discipline them properly. Coming here on Reddit asking how to essentially wipe your butt as a function of your job is particularly shameful. OP. Be careful about what you are posting. The Department of Labor is very clear on what defines what an intern is supposed to do and what the company is supposed to do for the intern. An intern is not there to do menial tasks. An intern is there to learn. The intern is supposed to get 100% of the benefit from being at the company. It is not a two-way street. The labor laws are crystal clear for interns and there are plenty of court cases and suits that prove just that. I may get downvoted to heck for this, but being in a small company, we are very careful as the intern position is one of the most misunderstood positions in the professional world, and it takes a half-but labor lawyer to really make for a bad day. $18 an hour? Dude, I wouldn't be fricking around that much for $18 an hour. $12 an hour. Yes. $18. No, work has slowed? What do you mean? As long as he's getting his work done, I don't think you should worry about it. Maybe even have him work from home. If he's waiting for the last minute, maybe it only takes a minute to do. If he's anything like me, it's the opposite of work being too difficult. I slack off when everything is too easy. Give him something challenging. Give him stuff you know he can do, but will have trouble with. I worked like my life depended on it for minimum wage and no benefits. I'd practically kill myself doing my best for $18 HR. Hey kid, you know everything we do here is really important. That's why it's important that we all work out hardest and make sure that this work gets done. Now today, I want you to get this work done. Give him a somewhat challenging but reachable goal. It may seem a lot at first, but I assure you if you focus and put your head down for some solid work, you'll get it done. Why don't you get about a third done with it, then take a little 15-minute break, get yourself something to eat, etc. Then hunker down and finish. I know you can do it, because you've been doing a great job. We just have to get this work done if we want to accomplish our goals. I'm counting on you. Now let's get to work. Do that. You fell just short of adding help us intern. You're our only hope. That would have motivated him for sure. If you know his Reddit username, be sure to find an extremely awkward post he made and subtly weave it into break time conversation. Knowing glances in his direction are optional. He's browsing Reddit more. That's all you really know. You can't assume much from that. A few years ago I was at my second internship and my workload really did tank and I was on Reddit a lot. For me it was that I was having family problems and it was causing me to have insomnia, so by the time I walked into work on Wed, I hadn't slept since Monday. My boss ignored it and nothing changed. If you want to help the kid, get to talking to him regularly and see if anything comes out. Remember, even though he's an intern for a professional company, he's really just a kid who is getting his first taste of real life. From a student in work and organizational psychology, what you should do it. Tell him to come to your office. Tell him the following. I have noticed lately that there has been some change in your work performance, for the worse. I had my suspicions and asked the IT guy to check your bandwidth usage and it's quite obvious that you're spending quite a lot of time on leisure time sites such as Reddit and YouTube. I'm wondering why this is. What situation are we in here? Is the work too boring and not challenging enough, or is there anything we can do? I don't know if I've seen the whole picture and I can't conclude on what's going on. So I will need your thoughts. What are you thinking? If he's being provided with ample work and is capable of doing it, but is choosing not to, I'd simply fire him. There are a lot of people looking for work that want to work hard and advance their knowledge and careers. If your paid intern is a lousy fuck now when he should be trying to impress, what makes you think he'll get better as supervision decreases when he ceases to be an intern? Cut your losses. Fire the lazias and hire someone who will work. For everyone who's going to downvote me, frick you. If you're being paid to work, get the frick off of Reddit, unless it's your job to be on here. How would you feel if you were paying someone to be productive towards your organization's goals cause and they opted to stare at cats and Amazon all day? This is showing my age, but I was a university student before the internet existed, and to this day, I work at work and don't check my phone when I'm being paid to do other things. You do not deserve a job. You do not have a right to a job. You must earn your keep, and I hope feel privileged that you're employed and earning enough to have a safe place to sleep and food to eat. Hey, we hired you to work. Please stay off the internet unless you have work to do. Thanks. Are people seriously this pussified they can't friggin' tell someone to do their dang job without coming to an online community? I'd recommend something like this. Hey frick face. Get your act together before I shove a narwhal up your butt and find someone who can actually work. Hey frick face. Get your act together before I shove a narwhal up your butt at midnight and find someone who can actually work. FTFY. Use your work's network, so that when someone attempts to go to reddit.com it takes them to another website saying we know you're going on Reddit. Is he getting anything out of this internship arrangement? Like, are you providing actual training or experience opportunities? Because if not, then why do you expect him to give you anything in return? I'm an intern. I started in June. I'm a pretty cool guy that gets along well with the office. I was fine the first few weeks completing easy tasks. I haven't had anything too hard. I've only been redditing at work for the past week, not month. My work has slowed. I've been browsing the internet with plenty of Reddit and some YouTube here and there. I don't have audio on my computer, so that high volume part can't be me, unless they are senile. No one has confronted me about working slowing down, and I haven't said work has been harder. I guess this isn't me and I'm just being paranoid, but the first time I read it, LOL pronounced Reddit, I almost crap my pants. My office space is in the middle of the room, with barely any partitions. People walk by all the time when I have to quickly close out of the screen to work related software. I feel like the only one that would know what Reddit is looks like since everyone else is older. I literally spent from 8 to 3:25 on Reddit. No work whatsoever. I'm ashamed, but they give me the most unimportant tasks. TLDR. Give them their own project and make it something they need to be qualified to do and they can actually feel proud of. If it isn't important, lie to them. I've had about a year's worth of experience as an intern, so I'll let you know how it worked for me. My first job was boring as heck. Nobody checked up on me. I rarely had work to do, and nobody would give me any if I asked. I was basically hired as an errand boy. I took some pictures, moved boxes, and then was put in charge of the fricking stock room. I quit after 4 months and found a summer internship rather than continuing a co-op. I only just got my own project after it was too late, and I was already watching at least 1 movie a day at my desk, sometimes 3. My next job was better, but also boring. It was QA though, so it's to be expected. I did not expect to have to work in packaging or doing certifications because they accidentally let too many people off. On top of it, the project they gave me was just data entry, and lots of it. My last job I actually loved. Yes, I had to do some data entry and spend hours doing boring work, but I also had my own project for the summer that would have actually been important work if there hadn't been technology issues. Everything I did seemed important though, and even if it was just menial stuff, they made it clear why it had to be done. Usually, it was something for their larger project, and they just didn't have the time, which I understood. My findings were put in a report to the VP of Research, and I had regular meetings with not only my boss but the boss upper level as well. This office even had a temp, and I felt it was important that they gave work to me that they would not give to him. I needed to use my knowledge from school to do the work, and it made it seem important. Give him more to do. I spent most of my summer internship catching up on my reading. I got through all 3 Girl with the Dragon Tattoo books on the clock. It wasn't because I was lazy, it was because the company I worked for was incredibly poorly managed. The department I interned for didn't even know I was coming until my first day of work, and no one was interested in teaching me anything because they knew I'd be gone in a couple of weeks. No one gave me work to do, and the few things I could have been working on were caught up in a huge tangled mess of we can't proceed with that until we get approval from Trish, but she's on vacation until next Thursday, and then she'll need to approve the proposal and send it to Jim, but he only works until 2 PM on WED, etc etc. I got paid $10 an hour, which barely broke even considering I needed to pay my school for a 6-credit class for the internship to count as school credit, and I couldn't quit for the same reason. In addition, because of the poor management, I couldn't start when I was supposed to and ended up 60 hours short of the required minimum to qualify for the credit. My school was understanding and let it slide, but I was still $600 short of the money I was promised budgeted for the semester. TLDR. Lazy intern may not be lazy at all. You're setting a great example. I suspect this whole thread is just for karma whoring. You're the boss, act like one and sort yourself and your interns out. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.